South Korea earlier this week announced that it was removing Japan from a list of trusted trading partners after Tokyo dropped Seoul as a preferred trading partner earlier this month. Not only is the trade war already disrupting the global supply chain for big tech companies, it leaves security analysts worried about the strength of the U.S. security alliance architecture in Northeast Asia, which is structured around its key Asian allies, namely South Korea and Japan. So let's get an in-depth analysis. Joining me live from New York is Stephen Noerper, Senior Director of the Korea Society. His previous posts include Senior Analyst at the U.S. State Department. Dr. Stephen Noerper, welcome to the program.
Thank you.
Now, as a security analyst and a specialist in this part of the region, what are your thoughts as you watch the dispute escalate by the day between South Korea and Japan?
A tremendous concern. It's been something that has built over the year. Clearly, the events of the last few months and the tightening in terms of export controls have been very worrisome, and they concern a lot of people in the United States, both those who study Korea as well as Japan, and as you indicate, those concerned about the U.S. presence in the region and the strength of its two allies, Korea and Japan. And so we need trilateral coordination. We need to see the bilateral relationships because it's the economic interdependencies, the political interdependencies, and the security interdependencies that are really critical for peace and security, not only in Northeast Asia region as a whole.
Right. Not only in terms of disrupting the global supply chain and impacting the regional as well as the global economy, but looking at it from a security perspective, does this rift between the two neighboring countries, now some say Seoul and Japan relations have never been worse, concern you?
Oh, very much so, especially when you consider the very threat posed by North Korea's nuclear and missile development, and that poses a real concern to both Seoul and Tokyo, as well as Washington. And then clearly the rise of China over time, and we see China's arrested behavior in the South China Sea, with Hong Kong in terms of its regards to Taiwan. And so having a stable security set of relations among the United States, Korea, and Japan is absolutely critical. And there's more that actually brings Japan and Korea to that threat posed by North Korea nuclear and missile development and the rise of China than that which divides them. So this may be a short-term or a medium-term economic reality, which is very distressful, but we can't let that get in the way of the variant and real security threats that are both in the near term and are developing over the long term.
Now, so Dr. Noerper, what's the general sentiment or feeling about this deteriorating ties between Seoul and Tokyo in the U.S., the academia, political, and diplomatic circles?
Well, I'm a professor at Columbia, and those of us in the academic community are extremely concerned. Most of us have spent our careers trying to enhance understanding of realities in Korea, in Japan, and for that matter, China and the remainder of Northeast Asia and East Asia circles. But for those in political circles in Washington, this has caused a level of distress, also hesitation to get involved. But my recommendation as a scholar is that there needs to be movement on two fronts. One is in terms of economic cooperation, and visitors, both in Korea and Japan, need to emphasize to political leaders the real bottom, the real cost here as share prices slip. And then we need the United States to play a stronger facilitating role, perhaps to call a summit between President Moon and Prime Minister Abe, where the two can meet and discuss and make senior leadership decisions. That would be the type of facilitation that the U.S. could provide, and not to weigh in, not to, but to provide a platform for both Korea and Japan to meet.
Now, last but not least, like you said, U.S. intervention or mediation between Seoul and Tokyo is vital here. But why do you think that U.S. has not taken a more proactive role so far?
Well, the focus primarily for Washington has been on that dialogue with Pyongyang and trying to stem the nuclear and missile. But our argument has been that that can't happen if you don't have good cooperation between Seoul and Tokyo and between them both and Washington. And so the trilateral cooperation and coordination is absolutely essential at this time to stem that North Korean concern. And the United States cannot be monofocused on that relationship with Pyongyang without realizing that it will get nowhere unless it has both Seoul and Tokyo on board. So it's absolutely essential that the U.S. step up in a leadership position. And it has already, even at the State Department today, a willingness to provide good offices. But let's see if the White House can provide that in the way, again, of a summit for the Blue House and for Tokyo, as well as cooperation or at least an expression of common interest among business leaders, because there are extreme costs here, economic, political, and security.
All right, Stephen Noerper, Senior Director of the Korea Society, a longtime expert in Northeast Asia. Many thanks to you for your insights this morning. We appreciate it. And to our viewers, we'd like to apologize for the connection that was not so smooth. But thank you, Dr. Noerper, for your insights.
Thank you.